All right, now we're going to look into the describe configs method. Okay, so if you come back here to the documentation, you can see that we do have this describe configs, and now it expects the config resource object. Okay, this config resource class, it's going to identify a Kafka resource, which will say which config we want to describe. So like a resource can be a topic, can be a broker, or any other configurable component in Kafka. So this is going to define that. So when we're saying describe config of what? So you can see here that expects the resource name, can be resource broker or anything similar to this. All right. So again, rely on the documentation for you to understand exactly what are the options you have. And let's jump right in to create another method. Let's just describe the configuration of the topics, and we're gonna have the resources, which will be a list tuple, and we'll return a dictionary. Oops, dict. So here the argument saying the resource will be a list of tuples, could be resource type, and which will be resource type and resource name. So for example, we're expecting it to be something like this: a topic, and then my topic as one element. Or we want to describe as well, we can do a broker and 0. See, so a list of tuples describing which resources we want to describe. And since we have more than one, we're going to return a nested dictionary with all of the resource configurations for each one of those. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is create our config resource. And we're going to have as that function expects a resource type, a resource name for each resource type, and the resource name in resources that we received. All right, that's the config resource. Now again, similar to everything else, we're gonna send the description requests. So we're gonna call the futures. Now we call the describe configs, and we're gonna send our config resources. Okay. Now here's just a little bit different because we'll build a nested dictionary. So we want to have something like this at the end. So let me show. We want the final structure to be something like we have a dictionary, then we have topic, my topic, and then we have all of the configs here. Okay, then we can have a broker 0, and then we can have all of the dictionary with the configs inside. Make sense? So we're going to create an empty. And we're going to populate it based on the results from the futures. So we can say for resource in the future dictionary, we're going to try, wait for the completion. So far, same thing. Now we're going to initialize an empty dictionary inside of this loop, which you're going to pass a resource that we're going to do, and an empty. Now we're going to extract each configuration entry at this level. So for each config name, config entry in config.items, And now we're going to store just the value, not the full configuration entry object. We're storing just the value. So results string of resource config name, and now we get the config name, config entry dot value. And here we can log this information, and we can say the configs for resource. We can have an exception as well if that fails. Always the Kafka exception. Now this can happen if resource doesn't exist, the user does not have any permission to view the configurations. If we have any other connection issues, that can happen in exception. So let's throw out an error. Fail to describe configs for source name, and then we'll do the error. Okay, finally we just return the complete dictionary. Then we'll have our describe topics, and we only have one more left, which will be the deletion. How we can delete the topic. I'm gonna, since you implemented this on the simple one class, I'm gonna leave it out to you so you can implement this as well, but I'll make this available in the code. So just go ahead and try it yourself. If you find any issues, come back to the GitHub and find the solution there. All right.